This is the time in the budget process when negotiations occur, when the different bills that have been put forward, both from the executive branch and from the House and from the Senate, are reconciled in a conference. In order for that to happen, it takes dialogue between all parties concerned. And while there is an impression attempting to be made by some that negotiation is not occurring, I want you to understand from my perspective, from the executive branch, that both myself and the Senate and the House, on the Republican side, are absolutely willing to negotiate, absolutely willing to compromise and ensure that we come out of here with a budget that serves the Commonwealth well. In order for that to happen successfully, it takes all parties being involved. And by all parties, that means the others who have a voice in this case, the Democrats in the House. They are in charge of the House by numbers. They are the ones responsible for the appropriation bill that they have put forward. They need to be at the table. And we want to make sure that it is clear that we expect nothing less, and the people of Kentucky expect nothing less than good dialogue on this front as we move forward.
We are very much willing to go forward. We have until the 12th day of April. We are willing to stay here through the veto recess. We have made offers, but that we have not had any real offers returned to us. And this is the reason it is so important that we come with a period of time to do what the governor has said he wants to accomplish. There are multiple ways of accomplishing it, but we know we have a $38 billion unfunded pension. And the Speaker says there's monies out there that haven't really been defined. We have the language to define that we will put the monies in our budget that the Senate has proposed in both the KERS and KTRS. And after 1 year and performance audits are done, then we will have monies basically in a reserve. In that reserve to go to the most needy problems within the pension system, whichever system it may be. So we're willing and ready to go forward. We have ideas and thoughts. We are not saying that the budget negotiations are breaking down or we may leave here without a budget. We can conclude our floor business today, and then we have the veto recess for which we can work in. We can try to come to some type of compromise and resolution, and we can pass a budget that is both good for this state and the individuals we have made commitments to, and that is our state employees who are retired, our teachers who are retired, and those who are in the system with a promise that they would be able to retire in the system that we have promised them. So we're prepared and ready to go forward. And we ask the Speaker, let's sit down, whether it be in front of the cameras or in closed session, and resolve these issues and move forward.
You have not heard any of us standing up here say that we're going to leave here without a budget, because nobody here wants to do that. We all want a budget, and as President Stivers says, we're willing, we're ready to continue negotiation, to continue discussion. But I think it's important to understand that this year, the House version of the budget got to the Senate at an unprecedented late date. But the Senate immediately took action, less than a week, and passed a budget so that we could get into a negotiation situation, we could get into conference committee. And this problem of the pension didn't happen overnight, as you all know. It's been 10 years or longer since the Senate began bringing attention to the issue of the pension crisis and what we were facing in this state. And it's not going to be solved overnight, but it is of utmost importance. The governor has said this issue must be addressed. We are going to begin to solve this problem for our retired teachers and for our retired state workers. And we're going to do it this session. We're not going to pass it any longer. So we're ready, we're willing, we're able to sit down to continue discussions. None of us want to leave here without a budget. None of us have said that. So we need to get down to business here. As President Stivers says, we have time to do it, and we need to act. And I call on the Speaker and Democrat leadership in the House to have that same attitude so so that we can get this done.
If the permanent fund was less than 500 million and required General Assembly approval before it's used, are you okay with that?
Again, look at the language that's in there. The number is not a magic number. And again, I've said now 2 or 3 different times that already, based on what the Senate is calling for, it's less than what I was calling for. The key is it has to be significant. It has to be dedicated, and Senator Stivers spoke to this fact, and I think Leader Hoover did as well. It will be dedicated to paying down our pension obligation. That is the sole purpose of the permanent fund. It is a permanent pension fund, the proceeds of which are to be used only for the purpose of paying down our pension obligation. That is exactly why it's there. It sends a powerful message to the outside world, to credit rating agencies who have in recent days, if you've been following along, continuously downgrading us, and they've been downgrading us because of our tenuous financial situation and because of our severe underfunded liability. This is a message to them that we take it seriously. Look at the language from Fitch's, which is one of those rating agencies, after I put out my budget calling for this. They indicated essentially that this is the first time, perhaps ever, certainly in a long time, that this state has taken this seriously. And take it seriously is what we're going to continue to do. Look just at the difference between my budget and the Senate budget. The Senate budget moves very much in certain directions from my budget as it relates to the pension, as to where dollars go, as to how much is put aside in the permanent pension fund, as to how much is left in the rainy day fund. My budget called for higher numbers in both. We have already begun to move toward a number that would suffice for all parties concerned. You are correct in the second part of your question/statement, which was they are unwilling to move off of cuts for certain parts of our Commonwealth. The reality, as was noted by Leader Hoover, this is a $38 billion, and truth be told, we don't know what the number is. It's tens and tens of billions of dollars. Everybody has a different thought, and until we audit these funds and truly understand, we won't know the exact number, but let's call it $38 billion. This number has been growing. This number has been appearing larger and larger in our rearview mirror for a long time. It has to be addressed.